Good morning, everyone. This is Don D with Truth Be Told, and we have some interesting stories today. I think we'll just go ahead and just move right into them. Okay, the first story of today says smoking gun. Fauci lied. Millions died. Fauci was informed of hydroxychloroquine's success in early 2020, but lied to public instead, despite the science. Fauci emails. It's been over a year since the WHO declared the coronavirus a pandemic after originally downplaying the threat. No secret that both the disease and the response to combat it following the SARS-CoV-2 outbreak in late 2019 have turned our world upside down. Mandates, lockdowns, and guidelines seem to change every day. Dr. Fauci opens his mouth, and all of these unprecedented rules were put into place. We were told to slow down the spread of a disease that today is linked to the death of over 500,000 Americans and 3.7 million global citizens in the last year. You would think that researchers would have concentrated on prophylactic and therapeutic solutions of this disease, especially since the disease is a death sentence for the elderly, the obese, and those with pre-existing conditions. The coronavirus doctors have forced children to avoid school, mask up, and get vaccinated. One would think that after all this time there would be a consensus in the hospitals, in the nursing homes, and in other treatment centers on how to treat a COVID positive patient or resident. This is not the case. Cardiologist and professor of medicine Peter McCullough testified in Texas earlier this year, and Dr. McCullough sees COVID patients and says 85% of the COVID patients giving multi-drug treatment plan recover from the disease with complete immunity. McCullough added, the pandemic could have been over by now, he says, if those who tested positive for COVID had been immediately treated before they fell ill enough to be hospitalized. He also says that thousands could have been and still could be saved if the treatment protocol he and other physicians use were not suppressed. Dr. Fauci and the CDC and the World Health Organization suppressed this effective treatment plan and others. And now this, the C19HCQ.com website tracks all the international studies on that medicine and its effects on the coronavirus. And the new study results are shocking. Okay, guys, I can't say that. I mentioned the title of it, but that's about as far as I can go because I don't want to get a strike on my channel. All right, let's go ahead and move to the next story. It says Fauci runs to MSNBC for first interview since his emails were made public and is a total slobberfest. MSNBC, yeah, run to fake news. That'll take care of you, Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci on Wednesday ran to MSNBC for his first interview since thousands of his emails were made public. BuzzFeed reporter Jason Leopold obtained hundreds of pages of Fauci's emails via the Freedom of Information Act. The emails are damning and prove that Fauci lied over and over again, including under oath. The emails also show his implication in the gain-of-function research that led to COVID-19 pandemic. Fauci ran to the friendly left-wing media for his first interview since the email dump. MSNBC's Nicole Wallace trashed Trump, kissed Fauci's tail, and told him his emails make him look good. The true mark of someone is if they look good, even when their personal emails come out, so you pass the test very few of us would pass, Nicole Wallace said. Fauci said the American public isn't just smart enough to understand him. Yeah, well, let's go ahead and play this and see what he's got to say. Tom Elliott, MSNBC, Nicole Wallace scores the first interview with Fauci since his emails were made public and uses it to say the true mark of someone is if they look good even when their personal emails come out. So you pass the test. Very few of us would pass.
And just on this point of your public profile, I read through your emails that were released, and I just want to read one of them. There were a lot of inquiries about your public profile. I mean, this very conversation was much harder to have under the ex-president. And this was your response to one about whether or not you'd have a press conference. You wrote, "Yikes, that would make 4 days in a row without a press conference for me, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and tomorrow." I wonder if you feel like you're still making up some of that lost ground from many months under the last administration of not just no information, but disinformation being out there. Do you still see some hardness among his supporters around the vaccine or around some of these messages you're sharing with us today?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that there are people out there who, for one reason or other, resent me for what I did in the last administration, which was not anything that was anti-Trump at all. It was just trying to get the right information, to try and get the right data. And what they didn't seem to understand, I guess that's understandable that they didn't understand it, is that science is a dynamic.
I think that's about all I can stand to hear of his voice. Liar, liar, pants on fire is all I can say. Okay, let's move to the next report on the Gateway Pundit. It says Benjamin Netanyahu ousted as Israeli prime minister after 12-year reign. Now that's really bad news. Right-wing politician Bennett joins with Islamists and left parties to replace Netanyahu. Oh, let's hopefully God intervenes and changes this, because Netanyahu has a strong love for Israel and has really been a great prime minister as far as I'm concerned. Okay, let's move down to the story here. Naftali Bennett joined with Islamists and leftist opponents to form a coalition to oust Netanyahu. Netanyahu has kept Israel safe for decades, and his economic policy has been exceptional. And Benjamin Netanyahu did not bow down to global leaders intent on punishing Israel like Barack. Netanyahu was very close to President number 45, who was a staunch supporter of Israel. Look at this guy. Israel new prime minister only got 5% of the vote, a fake conservative. This weasel sold out his nation by joining Islamists and leftist parties, sworn to its demise. With Netanyahu gone, I expect Biden to squeeze Israel to make dangerous confessions to Islam. Another globalist win. At any rate, I think that's about all there is on that story. We'll go ahead and move to this next one. This is on Real Raw News, and this is a controversial subject here. According to Real Raw News, John Podesta executed at Gitmo. Interesting. Traitor, murderer, pedophile, Luciferian, Clinton conspirator. John Podesta was the embodiment of evil, was being the operative word. On Tuesday morning at precisely 8 a.m. Gitmo time, a military firing squad composed of Marine volunteers gave Podesta a 6-gun salute, center mass. Ouch. 2 hours later, military police had awakened Podesta and asked whether he wanted a final meal. The tearful and trembling Podesta reportedly refused a last repast, saying he had no appetite, while whining about how Donald J. Trump and the military had convicted an innocent man. Well, according to the evidence, he wasn't so innocent. Shackled at the wrist and ankles, Podesta was placed in a Humvee and driven to a clearing a kilometer southeast of Marine Hill, home to the fictional Lieutenant Colonel Nathan R. Jessup in the film A Few Good Men. The clearing was featureless except for freshly trimmed grass and a cement wall that measured 6 by 6 by 2. A small group of both military and civilian onlookers watched as 2 military police removed Podesta from the Humvee and escorted him to the cement barricade, demanding he stand motionless before it. The most recognizable attendees were Rear Admin Crandall, who prosecuted the military's case against Podesta, and surprisingly, Marine Corps General David H. Berger, who recently assumed the role of chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff after unseating General Mark A. Miley, who now stands accused of treason. 6 Marines, rifles at their side, faced the barricade in Podesta at 20 yards. If the condemned has any last words or wants last rites, now's the time, Rear Admiral Crandall said. I don't want to die. I didn't do anything. This is a apparent violation of due process. I don't want to die alone like this, Podesta said. General Berger spoke up. You needn't worry about dying alone. Hillary's waiting for you, and wherever you're headed, we'll be sending plenty more company your way. Asked whether he wished to be blindfolded, Podesta said, doesn't matter. Rear Admiral Crandall addressed the firing squad. When I give you the command to fire, you're to fire the rifles simultaneously. Center mass. The magazines on your rifles hold only 1 round each. You will chamber that round on the ready command. 1 cartridge holds a blank. If any of you soldiers feels guilty afterward, just convince yourself that it was your rifle that fired the blank. Remember, you volunteered for this duty. All right, so some really interesting information here. Hold on one second. Well, you heard it right here. Some really interesting things seem to be going on in the world. A lot of alleged information. And we're going to say alleged, because I don't know. I can only go by what I find. And we're trying to vet it to the best of our ability and bring it out before the public. So we hope you enjoyed today's stories. And this is Don V, broadcasting out of beautiful Arizona under early 80s, 82, 83 today, I think it's going to be. Beautiful day. And this is Truth Be Told. Don V will be out.